How would you like to be a better, more effective communicator to get what you want? Hey there, it's Diane Forster, and welcome to I Have Today, the show that inspires, educates, and empowers you through life's transitions. And each week on this show, we talk about relevant topics to help you live intentionally the I Have Today way with passion and purpose. And this week on the show, we're going to talk about a topic that's really important to a lot of people. And I know personally from my own experience, it's something that I've had to master, and I really help and support my clients and my audience with it as well. And that's the topic of being an effective, good communicator. It's so important. In fact, there's a chapter in my book that I write about communication without emotion. And you're probably wondering, well, emotions matter in communication. I want to effectively communicate my emotions, Diane. Well, that's not what the chapter is about. What it's about is the person on the other end of that conversation not getting emotional in a negative way because the communication isn't going well. So here's what I've discovered. We all want four things. Everybody wants to be seen, heard, appreciated, and acknowledged. We all do. It's a sign of respect. And communication and the way we communicate, the way we are speaking and how it's being received to the other person is really, really important. And so the reason why I want to talk about this is because two incidences happened this week. And I said, oh my gosh, the show's got to be about communication and effective communication into really getting what you want. And so I want to share them with you. I want to share you 3 tips on how you can really be an effective communicator, a better communicator, a good communicator, and how that is really going to help serve you in your life to get you what you want. Okay, so I want to give you the intention statement for today, and it's this. I have today to be a really good communicator. So write that down somewhere, maybe use it as your screensaver, an alarm or something, put it on Post-it notes so that you can have heightened awareness about this, so that you can really start being a better communicator and paying attention to when you're not being a better communicator. All right, so the first thing I want to share with you is a story about a client of mine who is living with a blended family. So, newly married, she has kids, he has kids, and now they're living together under the same roof. So imagine the dynamic that's going on in that family scenario, right? There's a lot of different personalities and styles that are now blending, and different habits, different routines, and so different parenting styles, different philosophies, different beliefs. And so now they have to create this environment where they're all living under the same roof, and how to be respectful to each other's situations and likes and wants and habits. And so when I was talking to her, she was sharing with me her frustrations. She's frustrated about certain things. The house is too noisy late at night, or there's different habits, leaving TVs on, different things being left around the house, just all the stuff that comes when you're living together with other people, right? So now she's got to decide how she wants to communicate with not only her new spouse, but his children as well. And she was sharing with me some of the frustrations. So what I said to her is, how do you think that's going to make him feel if you're saying, I don't like that. I don't like that when you do this. I don't like it when you leave your stuff laying around. I don't like when you play your guitar late at night. I don't like when you play video games at night. It makes my head spin. It makes me dizzy, or it makes me, frustrated. It gets me wound up. I can't wind down, and I need to wind down in the evening. How is he going to respond to that? He's going to feel rejected. He's going to feel unwanted. He's going to feel like he's doing something wrong. I said, what if instead you said, I know that we have different habits and different routines, and I know that you enjoy doing these things late at night. That's your time to express yourself, or that's your way of winding down. But for me, what I need is I need peace and quiet. I need tranquility. I like to do X, Y, and Z at night. So what if we could figure out a way for all of us to enjoy the things that we want to enjoy and be respectful to each other's time and space at the same time? How can we do that together? And so what you're doing in that situation is it's inclusive. Everybody's feeling respected. Everyone's feeling seen, heard, appreciated, and acknowledged. And this young boy is going to feel empowered and confident that his feelings matter in that moment. It's a much better way to communicate, right? It's being respectful of everyone, and it's not getting emotional in a negative way. Because if you're coming from a place where you're really charged up and feeling negative and really emotional about it, what you're doing is inviting more of that. It's actually disempowering you instead of empowering you. So I could see with her right away, the light bulb went off, and she's now super excited about having this conversation. And what this has done for this young man, I'm telling you, just that subtle shift has taken him from feeling disempowered, undervalued, not worthy, to feeling empowered and worthy, and that his voice matters, his opinion matters, he matters. Much better way to communicate, right? So that's one way to do it. And what you're doing there is don't talk about what they're doing. Talk about the way you're feeling, okay? That's number one. Another way to communicate is another story that I want to share, and this is something that I have experienced so much of, and I know this is going to spark a charge with a lot of you. I can't stand it when people interrupt me when I'm talking. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. It is a pet peeve of mine, because what's happening in that moment when I am being interrupted when I'm communicating is the person on the other end of the conversation isn't listening to me. They're just flat out not listening. You can actually see them sort of on the edge of their seat, just waiting to get in with their point. They can't wait to make that next point, that next validation of theirs. And what they're doing in that moment is completely disrespectful to me. It is. It's like they're not hearing me. And I'm certain I have been guilty of this at times too. And this is something I've worked really, really hard at, because if it was happening to me, chances are I was doing it to somebody else. You know, law of attraction, I'm sure I was attracting it in some way. And the things that bug us the most are really the areas within us that we need to look at ourselves. So it was an illuminating moment for me when I started to see, God, this person isn't listening to me at all. They just can't wait to get their point made across, right? So mirroring, if you don't know what mirroring is, I'm going to share a little bit of what it is right now. So if you are in a conversation with someone, because you know what it feels like when you're trying to speak to somebody and you're trying to get your point across and they're interrupting you, it doesn't feel good. It shuts you down. You just want to go, you're not like, you just want to give up. You truly just want to, stop talking, right? It doesn't feel good. Instead, you could say, please stop talking. I'm not finished talking yet. Please wait. And please, can you repeat back to me what I just said so that I know that you heard me? And I am telling you, you are going to stop that person in their tracks, because they're probably not going to be able to repeat back what they said to you. But in a way, it's like saying to them, you're not listening to me. Like, you are truly not listening to me. And it's really not respectful without exactly saying those words. So when you invite somebody to mirror back what you just said to them, you're stopping them. What you're doing is creating what's called a pattern interrupt in their subconscious mind. And now they have to go back and repeat back what they said to you, which it's there. If they stop for a second, it's there, and it'll stop them from interrupting you to get their point across, okay? And let me tell you, that is going to create much more effective communication. You will be heard better if you say that. Wait, I'm still talking. Can you please stop talking? And can you please repeat back to me what I just said to you? Okay? You're inviting them to mirror you back. All right? So that's way number 2. The next thing is a huge thing, especially, I was going to say especially now, but this is always valid because there is always going to be political diversity, religion diversity, just, polarity in the world, this opinion versus that opinion, right? And what I really try and do in this work and in these teachings to you is not to create that, to embrace the diversity of everybody, to love unconditionally no matter what. It's never about the person, it's about the behavior, right? And when you say, subtle things like, look at politics today and all of that, you're actually inviting that toxicity in. So I'm going to invite you to be aware when you're around toxic conversation and to remove yourself out of the toxic conversation. Remove yourself from the situation and just not engage in it. You can stay there and you can be quiet with it. You don't have to interact with it. You don't have to judge anybody else for doing it, but politely step away from it by saying something that's much softer, less judgmental, or just walking away from the situation altogether. Because it's my belief that that is really the only way to stop that, is just not to engage in it, and certainly don't judge others for doing it, because when you're judging others for doing it, you're not doing anything different than they are, right? They're judging in that moment. So step away and remove yourself from toxic situations and people and invite yourself to be around more uplifting, more empowering, more embracing, more non-judgmental people and experiences and situations. All right, so that was 3 powerful tips, but I wanted to give you another scenario and another story because I said 2 things happened this week and I gave you one of them at the beginning. Let me give you this other one. We tend to think about things and come from a place of what's going on with us and what's going on in our world, which totally makes sense. There's nothing wrong with that. While we live in this great, big, beautiful world, the only world that really matters is the one that we perceive. So I wanted to share another story that happened this week with a young client of mine. This young man is in the midst of switching careers, and he was going to give notice at his place of business. He's been there a couple of years, and it's time for him to move on and pursue something different, and he's not happy there. And so I said to him, what are you going to say to your boss? I'm always interested, how are you going to go in and do this? And what he said to me is he was going to walk in and say, I've been giving this a lot of thought, and this just isn't the right environment for me, and don't really see myself growing in this company. It's just not what I want, and I've been pursuing other options, but I just don't even see myself growing with this company. I just don't see a place for myself here, And it's not that there was anything wrong with the way he said it, but it sort of gave this delivery. I imagined myself hearing that. If someone came to me and gave notice and said that, what I call that is, you're calling their baby ugly. So I said, the last thing you want to do is go in and make anybody feel like you're calling their baby ugly, like your place of business isn't good enough for me. Like that is not the impression that you ever want to leave. I said, never burn a bridge. Ever, ever. Don't ever burn a bridge. Instead, why don't you go in and say, you know what? This has been an amazing experience for me. I have learned so much in my time here, and I'm so grateful for it. I've been giving this a lot of thought, though, and I thought about where I want to go in my future and what I see for myself. And honestly, I feel like it's in a different direction from this. So I wanted to come to you right away and let you know this so that I can pursue other options that I think are more in alignment with me, and I can create the space and closing the opening for you to get somebody in here right away that's more in alignment with where they want to go and make somebody else's dream come true. And he said, that's a way better way of saying it. And then you're not saying their baby's ugly or their place isn't a good enough place for you. What you're saying is so true anyway. It's just not in alignment with who you are. So get out of your head and get out of your perception of what it is. Get a clearer vision, a visual and image of what the big picture is. Because when you take the aerial view, it's just not right for you, but it's definitely right for somebody else. And you create that space, that energetic field for it. So I followed up with him, went amazingly well. He felt so good about it. The boss felt so good about it. They celebrated together, and what a great way to transition out of that chapter of his life. And what a great way to communicate without it getting emotional, anybody feeling any negative emotion about it, right? So powerful. So I wanted to share that story as well. So how can you become a more effective, better communicator? Taking the ownership and the responsibility of it. Thinking about, am I the type of person that interrupts people when they're speaking because I'm so ready to get my point across because I know what that feels like when it happens to me. Thinking about being on the receptive end of somebody telling me something that what it is they don't like, instead of inviting a more respectful conversation where everybody is seen, heard, appreciated, and acknowledged, and staying away from and removing yourself from toxic people and toxic conversations. You just don't need to engage in them. That is going to make you a much better communicator. So I want to thank you so much for being here today. If you're watching this on YouTube, please click the subscribe button and hit the bell so you get notified when we do new episodes. You can catch this on our podcast and subscribe to me, subscribe here, and then also follow me on social media at Diane Forster Official. And thanks again for being here. We'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.